Horror has been a genre of film ever since the 1890s, and it has been constantly growing and evolving as we, as a society, grow. Movies often revolve around our current life situations, always changing and adapting. And horror movies are no different, but what was that trend like during the 2000s? One of the biggest events to not only affect movies, but history, was September 11th, 2001. No, really! With the 2000s just beginning, 9/11 was really a cultural impact and sent the new era into a rise of new media. And that includes horror movies. The 2000s can be described in a few different subgenres or phases. Torture. Yes, the name sounds weird. While the characters in the movies aren't getting freaky and torturing each other in pleasant ways, it's a lot darker. David Edelstein coined the term torture porn in the January 2006 New Yorker, suggesting that we engage with these kind of movies on a purely visceral level, all considerations of story and character aside. Just like porn, except the focus of the action is torture rather than sex. It's blood, it's body mutilation, it's death after death after death for the purely gross factor, instead of containing a steady story plot. One of the biggest titles of this that came out in the 2000s was Saw. 6 of them, actually. From being forced to kill another man for freedom, to the needle stack, to the reverse bear trap, Saw is iconic for its horrid death traps, mangling people in torturous and heart-dropping ways. It has made a name for itself in torture porn. Hostel is another name of the subgenre, full of plenty of blood, chopping of limbs, and of course, torture. Asian inspiration. Unlike more Western horror, Asian horror focuses more on the psychological side of horror. It is ghosts, spirits, and even curses coming to haunt the protagonists. The West started to pick up on the success of those kind of films, especially with the rise of the internet. The Ring is by far one of the most memorable movies of the subgenre. The Ring adapted the supernatural and curses well into its story. Rachel Keller is a journalist who is investigating a videotape that may have killed 4 teenagers, including her niece. There's an urban legend about this tape. The viewer will die 7 days after watching it. If the legend is correct, Rachel will have to run against time to save her son and her own life. Another film, popular at its time, was The Grunge. While these kinds of films opened up the subgenre to horror producers at the time, it struggled to take flight after the late 2000s. American filmmakers tried altering the usual takes when filming the genre to try and make it more appealing to Western viewers, only to strip the film of its fear, leaving the subgenre to slowly bleed out into the mainstream. For the sake of time, I unfortunately have to cut out some great subgenres. There is no one way to describe horror, as lots of great one-shot movies came out. And while iconic, the hype for the genre as a whole didn't make the cut. So here's some honorable mentions. Final Destination, the one that got you scared to drive behind log trucks. Being released in 2000, set up a roller coaster of fears for a generation of people. The original Final Destination was about a kid being given a vision of the plane they were about to board, breaking apart and crashing, killing everyone inside. Realizing it was only a premonition, he convinces his friends not to board and saves their lives. But death is not over, and is coming back to make sure they're all dead in a series of complicated gimmicks to make sure death always wins. 28 Days Later. This movie sets up another resurgence for one of the most popular kinds of subgenres, apocalypse. Fast-running zombies, survival, and most importantly, the eating of brains. The movie surveys the life of trying to get by 28 days late after the apocalypse breaks out. And that's all we have for you. So just remember, it's just a theory, a film theory, and we aren't doing this. No,